Hi, Danny. It's good to see you. I'm very much looking forward to our discussion today. And with that in mind, I think it's fair to say the year is now very much underway. And so all the usual reviews and analysis of the previous 12 months are all complete. So what are your thoughts on the key events of 2021?
Well, I think the first thing we have to talk about is the pandemic. Obviously, it's been hugely challenging still in 2021 for lots of organisations. Although, similar to 2020, some customers were able to grow through this, home delivery, emergency services, and some other sectors as well, being the prime examples of that. There continues to be volatility as restrictions get eased and then go back into place, and our customers have to respond to that in managing their fleet needs and their fleet requirements accordingly. All of this whilst having to control costs, make sure the assets are being utilised, and other challenges also being afoot. If we look at Brexit next, there's clearly far more certainty on the trajectory, maybe in compared to the pandemic, but that's fair to say that on the ground, there's huge operational challenges that people still have to overcome. And also there are some concerns over the viability of some industries, maybe in the short and medium term. Compliance continues to be key for all of our customers. If we look at the DVS, for example, there's been 70,000 licences issued, but there's also been 7,000 penalty charge notices issued already. So we need to make sure that our customers' vehicles ultimately comply with these standards. If we look at decarbonisation, obviously COP26 happened in the Glasgow Climate Pact, but there are also further new expanding zones, London and Birmingham being the most obvious. And the government has launched their Green Print, which outlines when decarbonisation on certain vehicle criteria has to happen. And then if we look at, lastly, if we look at vehicle supply, we believe that that's going to pretty much remain the same for 2022 also, obviously impacted by the chip shortage, some macroeconomic things such as the Suez Canal, cost of materials, and when you combine that also with severe driver supply shortages, it definitely was a challenging year for everybody on lots of different counts.
Thanks for running through those. That's really interesting. Certainly shows what a busy and for some extremely challenging year we've just been through. So what about 2022? How do you see that shaping up? Would it be more of the same, or are there any new challenges ahead?
Well, the pandemic is clearly still going to be with us, and I think that as we look at that, we'll continue to see some flexibility and volatility in fleet requirements. I think many organisations have been able to ask themselves what if, and if we continue to ask ourselves those questions and plan accordingly, I've got full belief that we'll be able to support all our customers and ourselves as an organisation be able to react. As I touched on the previous slide, the driver shortage, estimates are up to 100,000, in the UK. I know that the government has some plans in place to address this, but I think that it's very clear that this won't be a quick fix. Same with vehicle availability. The conditions that we've experienced last year, I fully expect to continue throughout most, if not all, of this year. And that's something that we have to be really aware on as the fleet ages. We're going to see an increase in SMR, and obviously then we need to make sure we manage the vehicle off the road times for our customers as best as we can. Then looking at decarbonisation, we're 8 years away now from legislation stating that diesel-powered cars and LCVs will be banned. That's less than 2 cycles in some customers' areas of how they'll manage their fleet. You add to that HGVs up to 26 tonnes, the deadline for that's 2035, and then above 26 tonnes is 2040. And definitely in that area, I think it's fair to say that both the manufacturer and also the technology picture overall is unclear. And with that in mind, I think it's understandable that some organisations are sceptical about being able to meet these deadlines. All that whilst having to respond again to further carbon air zones, most notably in Greater Manchester, Bradford and likely more.
Okay, so I know from previous discussions that Enterprise is fully committed to working with its customers and partners to help shape the future of decarbonised road transportation. But can I ask you, what does that actually mean in practice?
So last year we added more fully electric plug-in vehicles into our fleet than ever before, and I expect 2022 to surpass that number that we were previously able to achieve. One of the ways that we're working through that is not just sourcing and acquiring those vehicles, but working with our customers to fully understand when the right time is for them to start considering this as an option. And when that does arise, we'll actually go out and source those vehicles specifically for that customer to aid in their transition of their fleet also. To help shape and develop policies, we've created a Freight of the Future forum, and I look forward for us being able to update our customers on the progress of that very soon. And then underpinning all of this, clearly we need to ensure that both ours and our customers' charging infrastructure is fit for purpose, and we're continuing to work with our suppliers to ensure that that is the case.
Turning to the financial side of things, as lockdown measures were eased, some sectors really did begin to thrive. But in the last quarter of 2021, there was a slowdown in growth. So how would you sum up the economic landscape being faced by fleet operators in the year ahead?
Well, I think it's fair to say it's challenging. CPIs rose over 5%. Fuel prices, diesel specifically, is at a 20-year high. And that is also underpinned by driver shortages, which obviously will increase labour costs. And then the raw materials, whether that be for SMR or whether that be for the production of vehicles, is also increasing significantly. This also will create some vehicle parts shortages and really put pressure on ourselves to ensure that when vehicles are off the road, we do everything we can to minimise those downtimes. So in other words, all key operating costs are on the rise. So businesses really need to control that and really protect themselves from increased long-term fixed costs. So the way that we think we can support that is by managing their fleet as efficiently as possible, but also continuing to provide flexibility to our customers as their business grows, provide those vehicles, but understanding also if they choose to contract their business for whatever reason, we're able to also support that as well. I think to control cost and protect profits, fleet managers are probably under more pressure than they ever have been before right now. And it's really our job and our duty to support them in every which way we can.
As you say, the economic outlook is certainly challenging. And whilst I'm sure that customers are well aware of the benefits that rental can bring in terms of cost control and flexibility, what about asset utilisation? Is there anything that enterprise can do to help with that?
So clearly customers need their assets on the road for the optimal amount of time. Many things can affect this positively. It could be job or journey planning. It could be minimising the amount of empty loads or empty journeys that the vehicles are doing. Where we can affect this in the most beneficial way is managing the SMR and also managing the vehicle off the road. To do so, we've invested heavily in our infrastructure in this area. We've been able to increase our in-house maintenance capacity by 30%. Not only should this reduce VOR times, but it should reduce vehicle movements as well, with giving customers more choices of where they can access our services. We've invested over £1 million in diagnostic equipment, again, which should be able to mitigate and reduce the length of time a vehicle is off the road. For more information on this, I strongly recommend that you watch the video of James Walker, who heads up this department for us, on the website.
So what other developments can customers expect to see from enterprise in the year ahead?
Well, based on legislation and also the ageing of a vehicle fleet that we're currently seeing in the UK, we recognise that compliance is probably the most complex it's been for fleet managers in a long time. To aid with that, we've been able to provide access of our compliance platform R2C to all our customers. And if you haven't signed up for that yet, I strongly encourage you to do so. It gives you greater accessibility to both documents and also vehicle scheduling and compliance events. In addition to this, you may have seen that we acquired Walker's Vehicle Rental in December 2021 over in both the Republic and Northern Ireland. We're in the process of integrating that business and we're excited about what that's going to deliver us for in the future, and I look forward to being able to give you updates in the very near future.
Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us today, Danny. It's been very interesting. Now, before I let you go, can I just ask, if there was just one thing that you could pick out that would really help fleet operators be better prepared for the challenges and the opportunities that lie ahead, what would that be?
So I think we all expect 2022 to be another period of volatility. And the way that we've been able to navigate these in the past is by open lines of communication. No more has this been showed in our response to the pandemic, where we're able to work with our customers to understand their challenges and in some case opportunities, and best support them to navigate their way through those. To assist with this, we're going to continue with our customer listening programme and we'll be in touch very soon. It gives all of our customers a chance to make sure that their voice counts and best positions us to support them for whatever their future needs.
Thanks, Danny. That's a great point to end on. Now, I know you're going to have further updates and insights that you'd like to share as the year goes on, but for now, thanks for your time.